Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. Dylan here. We have a major update today from Representative Jim Jordan that you do not want to miss. He just came out and revealed the truth about everything going on right now, and he's calling out his colleagues big time. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Amen. Okay, my friends, Jim Jordan just went on Sean Hannity, so let's tune in.
Now to another legal matter. The Department of Justice has secured a superseding indictment against the Southern Poverty Law Center containing the details of even more alleged fraud committed by the center against its own donors and banks. According to this new indictment, a Southern Poverty Law Center employee was actually dating an informant inside a white supremacist group, all while the center paid that same informant over $1 million in donor money. And when two members of the KKK reached out to the law center, hoping to take advantage of a program that helped people leave extremist groups, well, the law center paid them to stay in the KKK instead. All told, the law center paid out $4 million, over $4 million of their own donors' money to the very extremists that they claim to be fighting, all using a variety of shell companies, which is a practice in the law. I believe they call that wire fraud. And with reaction is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, is with us. I almost find this impossible to believe. Yeah. But why does nothing surprise me anymore?
No, it's like every other investigation we've ever looked at, Sean. The only thing we get wrong is it's always worse than we thought. And here you had people trying to get out of a hate group, and the Southern Poverty Law Center says, no, stay in, create more hate, and we'll pay you. And oh, by the way, we're not going to tell our donors. We're going to keep letting them let them think that we're fighting it all the way. I mean, this is how ridiculous it was. But for me, the biggest takeaway is the fact that the Biden White House and the Biden Justice Department helped make the Southern Poverty Law Center the standard. They met with them every quarter. Lisa Monaco, Deputy Attorney General, sat down with them. They helped when Southern Poverty Law Center created the hate group. The Biden Justice Department used that. In fact, in the now famous Catholic memorandum from the Biden FBI, where they say if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist, guess who they cited, Sean? The Southern Poverty Law Center. So they helped make them the standard when in fact it was all a scam. That's how ridiculous and wrong this is. So God bless Todd Blanche and the work the Justice Department is doing in helping hold these people accountable.
Wow, that's crazy, guys. Do you think they will be held accountable and face consequences and actions?
All right. What do you see that they're investigating? What are the possible crimes that are involved here? I think it's innocent until proven guilty. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think they lied, because they were laundering money through all these shell organizations. So I think there's that. There's probably some kind of bank fraud issue. There's wire fraud issue. There's all of this. But there's also the fraud they committed to their donors. I mean, they were putting the very people they were saying, no, don't leave, stay in the group. They highlighted them on their website. Look at this extremist, this hateful person, while they're paying him. So that's the game they were running, never telling their donors this scheme that they were up to. Here's the other thing that I think is interesting. The Biden Justice Department knew about this. They were investigating it, but they didn't bring the charges. And I think the reason is obvious. Well, of course you can't charge them when you're making them the standard, when you're working with them. They actually had Southern Poverty Law Center people come in and help train the prosecutors in the Biden Justice Department. And the sad thing about all this is it worked. They almost tripled their revenue after the now famous Charlottesville rally where a person was killed, and one of the guys they were paying was promoting that rally, coordinating transportation. After that rally, they almost tripled their revenue. So it's great, again, that Todd Blanche and his team are indicting these folks and holding them accountable.
Whoa, so there will now be indictments, my friends. That's actually the difference between Jim Jordan and some of these other guys, is that he actually gets things done.
Without objection, so ordered. I now yield 5 minutes to the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Jordan, for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. We're not taking foreign contributions. That's what Ms. Wallace-Jones said in November 2023, responding to a letter from the chairman. She said, passport information is required from donors providing an address outside the United States. Quote, we have multi-layered screenings in place to root out foreign contributions. She put it in a letter put it in writing in a letter to Congress. Now, the only problem is ActBlue's outside counsel, as the chairman said, sent a memo to Ms. Wallace-Jones where they said things were a little different than what she described to Congress. They said ActBlue's response to Congress was not entirely accurate. They said, quote, ActBlue did not have the rigor in its review of overseas donations that was required or that it described to Congress. Quote, there's a substantial risk some of the funds were impermissible contributions from foreign nationals. And ActBlue's staff was aware that its system was not as robust as necessary, making these contributions appear, listen here, knowing and willful. There's intent right there. Knowing and willful and an effort to conceal. Wow. Knowing and willful, not entirely accurate response to Congress in an effort to conceal. You know what they call that? They call that lying. So the question is, who are you going to believe? The law firm or ActBlue? Now, a few things to consider when you're evaluating that question that we've uncovered, the committees have uncovered. First, there's just the general suspicious activity. Foreign IP addresses with 237 contributions in one day. 1,700 transactions in 7 days where the donor's country did not match the country of the donor's IP address. That seems fishy. Second, the documents the committee obtained did not square with Ms. Wallace-Jones' response to Congress. We had one ActBlue employee who, in an email, said, changes we have made over the last year have already meant we're accepting more fraud. So there was already some fraud. They changed their standards so they were accepting more fraud. ActBlue board member Kimberly Peeler-Allen admitted up to, quote, 38 million in ActBlue contributions in 2024 had signs of a foreign origin. Third, as the chairman said, there were 5 people on the fraud prevention team at ActBlue who were concerned about foreign contributions, and all 5 have either resigned, been fired, or been placed on leave. All 5. The manager of the day-to-day fraud prevention resigned.
Wow.
Vice president of customer service in charge of fraud prevention for 2024 resigned. Top lawyers at ActBlue, General Counsel Darren Hurwitz fired, given a $170,000 severance package as long as he didn't say anything without first checking with ActBlue.
Yeah, you guys got to remember, there's a lot of money that just gets floated around with all of this stuff to keep your mouth shut, and you know, they end up getting away with this stuff. It's crazy.
Aaron Ting, Associate General Counsel, resigns. ActBlue refuses to give us, even though we've asked for it, his resignation letter. And legal counsel Zain Ahmad resigns after being retaliated against for blowing the whistle to the board about what was going on. And as the chairman mentioned, we deposed all 5 of them. And every single one of them, 146 times, took the fifth. This is a tale as old as time. You get caught doing something wrong, and when you're questioned about it, you deny it.
Wow.
And when evidence emerges and questions persist, you take the fifth. Take the fifth. Now, why would all that happen? Why would all that happen? Well, I think there's probably 3.8 billion reasons why all that happened. $3.8 billion ActBlue took in the 2024 election cycle. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And we know that there's something going on here, and that's why the investigation persists. And our investigation is different than what the Justice Department's doing, but we appreciate what they're doing too. And mostly, I want to thank this committee. I want to thank Chairman Stile and this committee for the work they've done. But for that letter sent, we might not have figured this out. So I appreciate the chairman, the good work he's doing, and I yield back.
Wow, that is wild. Honestly insane.
Please.
Like, Jim Jordan is just calling them out big time.
Here with reaction.
Look at this. Now, Jim Jordan is really exposing the truth about everything going on, and it's honestly crazy to me. Let's take a listen.
This Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, now Vice President Vance told Jesse Waters that the DOJ is investigating. Let's look at this.
Yeah. We actually referred this particular case to the Department of Justice for a full criminal investigation. You had people within Governor Walz's office who were saying, you know what, this looks like fraud. It looks like these Somalian illegal immigrants are doing something that's very shady. And then you had people who shut them down, who shut these whistleblowers down and said, you know, you're a racist or you're a xenophobe for asking questions about where taxpayer money is going.
Now, more of that at 8 p.m. on Jesse's show. But, Congressman, is there potential for criminal referral in your eyes?
Oh, yeah, because it wasn't just in the governor's office where people were raising concerns. There was a Somali American who worked in the attorney general office there in Minnesota, in Keith Ellison's office, and she said they didn't tackle this problem because they were concerned how it would impact the Somali American population, and that was an important voting bloc. So it was simply politics. We can't upset a core voting bloc. And then, of course, you can couple that with no one wanted to be called racist, because that's how the left always operates. The left will tell some lie. We're feeding kids with your tax dollars when there were no kids and there was no meals. We're doing that. We're just up. But they will tell some lie. Big media will report it. Big tech will amplify it. And then when you tell the truth, they call you racist. So it was both of those concerns. And the one thing I always take away from this, because this is something that happens every single time we do an investigation. The only thing we get wrong, Laura, when we start these things is it's always worse than we thought. Maybe as high as $9 billion in Minnesota alone.
Now, the fact of the matter is, this is mostly, it's not all, but it mostly happens to be happening in immigrant communities across the United States. It shifts from community to community. We've seen some Indian fraud, Somali fraud. I mean, it is the fastest growing industry in some of these states, right? It's a growth industry.
So why is there not more accountabilities? Why is there not more arrests? That's what I'm questioning here.
Fraud. And to say that is not being discriminatory. It's being factual in the certain cases that we're looking at. In Minnesota, It happens to be very prominent among the Somali community. Period. End of story. But there seems to be a big cover-up of this one community, only for political reasons. And I find that absolutely disgusting, as regular Americans are, and Somali Americans are also footing the bill here.
No, it's as wrong as it gets. I mean, I always point to the program there in Minnesota. The lady who started it now has been sentenced and given like 40 years in prison was her sentence. But it was called Feeding Our Future. And again, as I said earlier, the program was supposed to, during COVID, when kids weren't in school, supposed to give meals to children. Again, the only problem was there were no meals, there were no kids. They were simply filling out forms, falsifying all kinds of data, and stuffing money in their pockets. And again, because of politics and because of the race card concern, they let it happen. Tim Walz even tried to blame it on the court, who said, because they stopped the program for a while, restarted it, and he said, the court made him do it, when that wasn't the case. The governor's office restarted that very program.
Well, Walz's office tonight, Congressman, is saying essentially that your committee is a joke. They continue to rehash COVID-era fraud as a distraction. Ellison's office kind of said the same.
Bro, Walz, the way that you're kind of saying, he's downplaying it. Why are you talking about that? Come on. It's dude, that's bad. They stole money, dude. Come on.
Same thing. The report is riddled with inaccuracies and misrepresentations in an effort to politicize the issue of fraud. And, of course, they both say they fight fraud wherever possible.
Yeah. Well, Laura, we'll find out. Colin McDonald over at the Justice Department is the point person, good guy, good lawyer, the point person that Attorney General Blanche has put there to deal with this. We'll find out. He's investigating, and he's already indicted all kinds of people. So we'll find out, but they can say what they want. But these are the facts. And we have the Justice Department digging into it. They've gotten referrals from Congress and from the White House. We'll see what happens. But Colin McDonald, I met with him. He's a good man. He's working his tail off to deal with this issue.
Congressman, we appreciate it. We'll be following it closely. Thank you.
Wow, that's crazy, guys. So do you think that there should be accountability for that? For Tim Walz or for the SPLC stuff? I think it's pretty crazy. Apparently, Jim Jordan is saying they paid extremists while labeling conservatives hate groups. That's pretty nuts, right? Why are we not seeing any accountability here? Apparently, J.D. Vance is now recommending DOJ probe of Walz and Ellison.
In Mr. Ellison's office, it was all about politics.
and they didn't tackle the fraud that was there. So thank goodness JD is. Thank goodness that Colin McDonald in the Justice Department is the point person on this, and they're digging into this issue and prosecuting people as well. It was just a pure scam. The Feeding Our Future program, that's the one I always point to. They've already indicted this individual, and she got sentenced to 41 years, the person who headed up this organization. But it was supposed to provide meals to kids when kids weren't in school back during COVID. The only problem was there were no meals and there were no kids. They were simply stuffing money in their pockets. They were filling out the forms. We fed this many people, getting the money, stuffing it in their pockets, just pure fraud.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff that they're digging into, and God bless the Justice Department and the Vice President for the work they're doing here.
That is incredible. Okay, you've got also this new judiciary report accusing the NFL of stretching the law's limits, limited antitrust exemption. What are you looking for here? This is arguing that America's most popular sports league has ignored the narrow guardrails of the 1961 Sports Broadcasting Act. What do we need to know about this?
Well, when you look at antitrust law, I mean, understand what happened. In 1961, the NFL came to Congress and said, if you don't give us some relief from the antitrust law, we're not going to have a league, because you'll have the big teams in, New York, Chicago, LA. They'll get a better TV deal than Green Bay, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. And so we need to come together, collude, pool our resources, and negotiate a contract, TV contract. They said, and Congress said, okay, you can do that. But it's called the Sports Broadcasting Act. They did that for broadcasting. Today's environment's much different. It's not just broadcasting.
Right.
It's cable, it's satellite, it's streaming. And they got all that. And so what we're saying is the standard that's always been there, the key standard when you look at the law, is what's in the best interest of the consumer welfare standard. So we're simply looking at this. Do we need to tweak something? Do we need to change something? We love the NFL. God bless them. Great sport, America's sport now. We love all that. But we're hearing concerns from fans, from our constituents, to say it costs a lot. I got to go find out if the Thursday night game is on Netflix or Amazon, and the Sunday game is CBS. And that's the concern. And so we did a little investigation. We put out a report yesterday, and we're having a hearing tomorrow.
Wow. So Jim Jordan getting it done, guys.